Good evening, it's Arlo Johnson in Vernon, BC, checking in again. I hope you're all feeling fine and things are going well with you, and let's hope that carries on. And if it isn't, I hope it'll be over soon. How's that? Now, the thing is, I noticed fall is closing in fast, eh? I mean, I didn't even realize it, but it's dark in the morning now. I used to get up about 6:15, something like that. And now it's dark. And that's just in the last couple of days, it seems like. But anyway, life goes on, carries on, yeah. The I I was asked today. I was out at where I've been for a long time, Desert Cove Estates. The one guy from Vancouver came out and he was asking me, how's it going, blah blah blah, whatever. I said, well, as far as I know, I said I can't really retire yet because I just don't have anything else to do. And I said I just can't see just sitting and staring at a bunch of old people all day. And I said it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen, but not yet. Yeah, I've been trying to arrange some flight to San Diego here pretty soon. I got it. Well, I've been kind of holding off on it till I knew if I was really going to go or not. Because if they bring that mask thing in again and all that, it's going to be, touch and go whether I'm going to do it or not. And I just hate buying an airline ticket, without, basically there's non-refundable, Anyway, so much for that. I've been blessed with a pretty long life and whatever. And it's amazing to me because I didn't plan on it. I didn't live a really, a healthy life all the time or anything. So I don't know, a long life seems to be something that, I don't know, you're given or something because there's all the people I've seen people who, man, they just are careful what they eat and this and that. Next thing you know, they're just got something and they're gone. And I don't understand that. I don't know that. So no use me dwelling on it either, I guess. The world is, getting ready for a good reason to leave. That's for sure. Now, I guess I better harp about what I do always talk about. And it's just like one theme all the time, is that, human race has been here for as far as we know, right? About 6,000 years. And the things are winding down. I mean, it's in my lifetime. Now you got to think, 1934 to now is quite a long time, and things have gone, really that way. The species has been thousands and thousands. Like 90% of all the species on Earth are gone that were actually originally here. And people think that everything is stable and will go on, and it's always been here. It's always been like this, so it's not going to change. Blah blah blah. But that's not true. It's changing every day. Only it's hard to see it, but it's there. And it just depends on when it starts to speed up a little bit. And I think it is starting to speed up. The thing that's going to be the hard thing to swallow is the suffering that's going to happen to people generally, because world governments now want to all fall in line with the business that they are going to save the planet. regardless, even if it kills everybody. And that's what it's going to practically do. And they're not going to be able to save anything. Sad to say, but they'll try. And you'll be living, most of you will be long after me, so you're the ones that are going to see the brunt of this, where you're going to be, restricted from practically breathing. And, that's a big lie, to think that they can blame it on people. That's not it. That's in the cards. God has built that into the system, that it is going to happen in this way, and certain things are going to happen, and it's going to get hotter, and it's going to be this, and it's going to be that, and earthquakes and floods and all that. And I'll tell you, you didn't cause that, except God is letting that happen, because that's the payback for the sins of the world, is really what it is. And the thing is, the ones who are going to suffer the most happen to have this color skin. Because I believe that we are the sons of the tribes of the 10 tribes of Israel. Basically the 10 tribes. The other 2 tribes are basically in Israel and have kind of ended up going back to Israel. The Jews and the tribe of Benjamin. And I mean lots of others too, all over the place. The Jews in Israel, I'm sure there's very few real Jews. They're all imported, they call themselves Jews. Jesus Christ said that too. He plain said that right out to them. And that's a fact. It makes me wonder why it is when people are faced with facts and told facts and can see facts and still don't do anything about it. A good example is in the United States right now. I mean, there is evidence galore of what President Biden's done, and it seems like, well, we can't do anything about it, Oh, isn't that something, living in a world like that? And that's the sign of, I've said this before, I think it's in Isaiah, I don't know which chapter or anything, but it says, when evil is considered to be good, and good is considered to be evil, then you have a problem, and you're facing the end of this world. Now, right today, there is no doubt about it, that is happening. Because there's different groups that are given way more leeway to do things in the public than others now. The reverse of what it used to be. And taking my life as an example, when I grew up, I didn't have to go to church, but that was the deal. Not because we had to, it was the main thing going around. I mean, everything went on at the church. You went there during the week, they had this, they had supper, they had this, they had that. They had weddings and funerals, blah, all that stuff, and then every Sunday, and then there was a funeral, and then there was this, and then, there was always something going on at the church pretty well. That was the focal point of the community, because you have to remember there was barely any TV at that time either. Just barely starting. And that's the big change. The big change started when TV got started. because that's when the ideas started to flow. And, you know, by the time we got into the 1960s, the ideas sure were flowing, because that's when the rebellion started. Yeah, right then. The 50s, no, I don't remember that being a problem at all. And the 50s were such good years, you know. I wished you could have lived them. They were good. I could go from this job to that job, one day here and one day there. Just go right from that to that. And there was plenty of jobs. Could always get a job. Nobody was looking for jobs. The price of things were very stable. You knew from one year to the next what the price of something was. That didn't jack around. I think I paid $2,345 or something for my first 1956 Chevy off the showroom floor in Edmonton, Alberta. And, you know, I thought, but I was making good money, so it really wasn't bad. And I think I was making $700-800 a month at that time, and the cars were 23, and didn't take long to pay a car off. Yeah, those were good years, because of the value of money. You know, like 20 bucks was a lot of money. I used to remember going to town with $2 buy gas. Get down near 10 gallons. Yeah, that was funny, because we never thought of things like that. That didn't seem didn't seem abnormal or anything. Didn't know any different. Didn't know a darn thing different. No. I was trying to think what I was being paid when I worked for Brown and Root Construction in Edmonton, Alberta, when they were building the CIL chemical plant. And I got a job on there. Well, this guy gave me a job. One of my relations worked there, and he arranged a job for me. It was the funniest thing. I was, I think, 18 years old, and he said, go to the hiring office on Jasper Avenue, you know, Monday morning or whatever. And this was in January. It was quite cold. So 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm there. I'm wearing a nice big curling sweater on and whatever. And I go over there and look, and it's funny, you know, that's basically my first major job. Anyway, I remember looking at the building, standing looking at it, and Brown and Root. Oh, well, I'm kind of nervous to go in here, so I walked around the block one more time. And then finally I went in, and boom. And I walked in, and looked, and there's a counter, and the woman at the counter said, come up here. So I went up to the counter, and she said, yes, can I help you? Well, I said I'd like to apply for a job, if I could, with Brown and Root. Okay, she said, fill out this form here, and bring it up to me when you got it filled out. So I went and sat down, and this other guy was sitting beside me, and we got talking away and whatever, visiting, and I said, yeah, so what do you do? Well, he said, I'm a tinsmith. He said, I've been in there for 3 weeks waiting in here to try to get a job, and I haven't been able to get it yet. Huh, I said, that's too bad, I didn't know that. Anyway, I was sitting there, and this woman looked up like this and looking around a bit, and she says, Arlo Johnson, is that you there? Yeah, will you come up here, please? So I took my paper, what I had, and I went up there. She said, is the guy you're talking to, is he with you? I said, no, I mean, I just met him. Oh, she said. Well, anyway, she said, here's this and that. Yeah, catch the bus tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. on White Avenue, and you'll be up to your job tomorrow. Well, that was easy. I didn't, the guy that was working there phoned and said, is Arlo Johnson there? Blah, 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 blah. Tell him to, just, inside job. So I went out, and the first day I went out, and there's this huge concrete buildings. I mean, they're 90 feet high and all full of tanks and stuff. But they're buildings, more and more of them. And I went on the labor crew. And there was about 6 Ukrainians, I think they were Ukes, from Edmonton, older guys on this crew, and I was on there. I was only 18, coming off the farm and whatever. And we're basically digging trenches and covering stuff in and doing this and that. And so the foreman come along and says, well, you just work with these guys here, and do this and that. Okay. So I got right in there, and I'm shoveling and going. And when the foreman left, they watched me for a little while, these guys. Finally one come over and he says, hey, you quit that. I said, but what? You slow down. You're going to make us look bad. Oh, well, okay. I was on that crew for 3 days. The foreman come around, he says, come here, Arlo. You're being sent over to the cement finishers now. Oh, that's a step up. Oh, yeah, and a little more money and a little better job. Oh, okay, thank you very much. And I go now with cement finishers. And what they did is, there'd be like platforms. They'd pour these footing platform things for motors to sit on, tanks to sit on, stuff like that. Only they polished them. They had grinders and whatever, with water and cement, and just grind away until it just got smooth and shiny. And that's what we were doing. That went on for about a week. Then the foreman came around and says, well, he said, you're being transferred now, he said, to the Millwrights. You're going to be a Millwright apprentice. Oh, that's great. I just would like to do that. So, we're in another building and a shop with all kinds of tools and stuff. And she says, you're being assigned to, I can't remember the guy's name now, but he was from Coquitlam, British Columbia, BC. Nice guy. He was a millwright. I was his millwright helper. So we got along good. The thing is, they had to put up the traveling cranes that went in the top of the building. The steel beams went up like 90 feet or whatever, and then you had to get these beams lined up and get them on there, and a track on the top, and a track on the other side, and a motor deal, air motor in it, so that when it turned, it moved and went across, and then it had a big chain, block and chain thing that moved in it like that. And that was fine, but I had to get up there. And these riggers, they were from Brazil, just a wild and crazy bunch, I tell you. They were wild. Oh, scary to watch them running across on ropes 90 feet up in the air. And they would hook a cable up somewhere and run a air hose way up, and then they had a rope come down and hook onto me and pulled me up on the steel beam. I went straight up, and I got up on the top, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm hanging on like this, looking down, and my knuckles were just about white. And I thought, oh, this is awful. How the heck am I going to do this? Anyway, we were up there, and the millwright and I kept lining this stuff up, and big bolts and tightening up these bolts, and I was hanging on to this, and then when it's time to come down, you get into the steel beam going up, and you get your feet in there, and you just slide down. And your feet, you use your feet as a brake. And just, and you know that after, I bet about 5 days, I was walking that beam just going like that, looking down. I thought, oh, nothing to this. I think about it now, and my stomach comes up, you know, and that's how fast that went. Then we'd be putting up maybe a copper tank, you know, a big copper tank going up 50, 60 feet, maybe 15 or 20 feet wide, all pure copper. And it had rings of bolts every 10 feet. We had to bolt them together and line this thing up so that it went straight, it didn't go off to the side. And that was the millwright's job to do that. And of course he had things on there to show if it was leaning or not. And that was fine. We did that for quite a while. Then we'd get a kind of a slow stretch, and the foreman would come up and say, well, today he said just stay up on the AR building on the 6th floor, stay out of sight, he said today. We don't have anything for you till tomorrow. Stay out of sight today. So I'd go up there and there'd be half a dozen of us there. And we had to stay down, you know, so they couldn't see us from below. And playing cards and stuff all day. And that happened quite a few times. I remember walking through the building, and if I stopped just and stood quiet for a while, I could hear in the ductwork. And I knew that was a tinsmith or a plumber or somebody sleeping up there. They came to work and went to sleep. And when I walked from one building to another, the foreman said, don't ever walk from one building to another without something in your hand, a tool or a blueprint or something. So I remember that and I always had that. So the inspectors never stopped me. But, and they could fire you on the spot if you were goofing off. Going out the gate one afternoon at 5 o'clock. This was 2,000 men working there. And you had a big lineup, and you had this button. 2774 was my number. And I took the button off and had to hand it in when you walked out the gate. They hung it up. And I was right behind this guy. And I'd say he was about 30 years old, 28 years old. And he's carrying his lunch pail. And he gets to and there's guards standing right at the gate. And he goes through the gate, and he's walking. Just as he walks past them, his lunch pail, boom, came apart. And all these nails went on the ground. Crooked nails. He had picked up all these crooked nails in there and was going to take them home and straighten them. Well, the guard just said, okay, you're fired, right on the spot. And this guy's jaw just dropped, you know, losing his job that he had to have because of crooked nails. And I thought, oh man, talk about bad luck. But anyway, that was 1952. That sounds like just like yesterday or something. It wasn't. Yeah, and it was a very interesting time. They offered me a job there on maintenance when they came along and said, we want to hire you for maintenance when this is done. You'll be one of the first employees here. And I thought, oh man, that would be a pretty plum job because it wouldn't take long. I'd be a foreman and a whatever and superintendent or something. And I thought about it and I thought about it, and I said, finally I told him, I'd like to, but I can't. I can't work here when this thing's running. And I said, because I can't smell. I never have been able to smell anything. And I said, from what I see, building in this building is nothing but full of chemicals and acids and all kinds of stuff, and I said, I wouldn't know one from another. Well, they said, that's too bad. And I said, yeah, it is. But I think that was, I could have maybe stayed, but I don't know. I guess maybe it was the thing to do. I mean, that's what I did. So, that's how that went. That was 70 years ago. 70 years ago. Ah, it was a big place. They had their own railroad in there, everything. I'll bet it was like 640 acres or something. I don't know. The railroads went here, buildings there, all over the place. I know now that I don't know if it's even running anymore. Big plants like that. It was a chemical plant that produced nylon, plastics. Huge plant. I've always wanted to go back there sometime. It won't happen now, but I would like to have gone back and had a tour. I should have done it a long, long time ago, but I just didn't. I guess that's one of the bigger mistakes, well, not a big mistake, but a mistake I made. But anyway, that would have been just for memories anyway. So, blah, 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 enough of that stuff. That's just, blabbering on about my life. I don't know if you're interested or not. By the way, I should have said, please subscribe if you'd like to. That gives you, notice of the next podcast or video or whatever. And anyway, I mean, if you want it, it's up to you. Anyway, that's all we're going to do tonight, because I'd like to just wish you a very good evening, and I hope that God blesses you richly, and we'll talk to you again.